Hello everyone. So today we'll discuss the concept of cloud formation and its types. I am Bhumika Saini. I've done my engineering from MNIT Jaipur. I've appeared in CSE interview twice and you can follow me on Unacademy by following this link. So what are clouds? Now clouds are floating water particles which are condensed and these are attached to tiny particles like dust and salt particles, right? But before understanding the concept of clouds, you need to understand three terms. One is evaporation, the second is condensation, and the third one is precipitation, right? Now what is evaporation? Evaporation means when the state of water it gets changed from liquid to gases, right? So first of all, evaporation takes place. So here the water, it is evaporated in the form of water vapor, right? Now when this water vapor it rises, it cools and expand, right? And if it reaches a level beyond the level of condensation, so this water vapor gets converted into water particles, right? Now these tiny droplets of water, they condense along the hygroscopic nuclei. Hygroscopic nuclei are generally the dust and salt particles. Now it is along these nuclei that these droplets, tiny droplets of water are attached, and this floating condensed water vapor is known as clouds, right? And when the cloud cannot carry any further moisture, it is at that point that this precipitation occurs. So evaporation first, then condensation and precipitation. So you can see it here. Clouds form when the invisible water vapor in the air condenses into visible water droplets or ice crystals, right? There is water around us all the time in the form of tiny gas particles, that is water vapor, that is after the process of evaporation, right? And there are also floating particles around in the air such as salt and dust. These are known as aerosols. So it is along these hygroscopic nuclei that the water vapor condenses in the form of tiny water particles, right? And this water vapor and aerosols, these are constantly bumping into each other, right? And when the air is cooled, some of the water vapor sticks to the aerosols which then collide. This is known as condensation. So that's what I told you. So first evaporation, then condensation, and then precipitation, okay? And condensation along these hygroscopic nuclei, that is aerosols, okay? And eventually what happens, bigger water droplets form around the aerosol particles, and these water droplets start sticking together with other droplets and they eventually form clouds, okay? So now, but this cloud formation, see, clouds they form when the air is saturated, right? And it cannot hold any more water vapor. Now this will happen in two ways. Either the amount of water in the air has increased or the air is cooled to its dew point. Now let's see how this happens. The amount of water in the air increase, for example, through evaporation, right? Now if the amount increases to the point that the air cannot hold any more water, right? So one case is this, and the second is if the air is cooled to its dew point. Now dew point is the point where condensation occurs, right? And the air is unable to hold any more water. You can see it here. So either the amount of water vapor is increased through the process of water vapor, or the air, this whole particle, this whole gases, like this whole air is cooled to its dew point. One is evaporation, then this whole air is cooled to its dew point. So these are the two things when these clouds are formed. Now what causes clouds to form? Either surface heating, orographic barrier, fronts, convergence, turbulence, right? Now let's discuss each in detail. First is surface heating, right? These are the 5 factors which lead to air rising and cooling, and then the clouds form. So first is surface heating. This happens when the ground is heated by the sun, which heats the air in contact. So that is actually the process of evaporation is taking place, right? And in this case, cumulus clouds are formed. Now we'll discuss all these clouds, the different types of clouds, in the next few slides. But first thing is, if there is surface heating, then cloud formation will take place. Why? Because the air is rising, and if it is cooled beyond the level of condensation, then clouds will form, okay? And the other factor is topography or orographic barrier. Now if the shape and the features of the area, they can also cause clouds to be formed. Now suppose if there are mountains or hill, right? So the wind is forced to ascend. You can see it here. If there are, this is the mountain, right? And if the wind is forced to ascend, then also it will cool beyond the level of condensation and clouds will be formed, okay? So the orographic barrier or orographic forcing is another reason for cloud formation. The third is fronts. Now fronts we'll discuss in another lesson, but what are fronts? These fronts are generated when two contrasting air mass they meet or converge, right? Now at that place also clouds are formed. Clouds are formed when a mass of warm air rise up over a mass of cold dense air. Now these are two contrasting air mass. One is warm and the other one is cold and dense, right? So at that place where fronts are formed, there also clouds are formed. Okay, then convergence. Now if there is convergence of air flowing from different directions, right, and if these are forced to rise, right, then also these can cause cumulus clouds and it may cause drizzle. The fifth factor is turbulence. Now, if there is a sudden change in wind speed with height, right, it creates turbulent eddies in air. Now, this happens when there is a when there are tropical cyclone conditions, right? And these are the different factors which may lead to different types, the different shapes, different size, and textures of cloud, right? So, we'll discuss the different types of cloud. Now, the different names of clouds. First, let's understand this. There are stratus clouds, cumulus clouds, cirrus clouds, alto clouds, and nimbo clouds. Now what does stratus mean? Stratus means layered, a flat layered cloud. You can see it here. These are stratus clouds, right? The next is cumulus clouds. Now cumulus clouds are this heaped up clouds and they appear like a cauliflower. You can see it here. These are the cumulus clouds. Then comes the cirrus cloud. Now these are high clouds. These are high altitude clouds and these are fibrous or wispy in nature. You can see it here. These are the cirrus clouds, right? The next one is nimbus clouds. Now nimbus means rain bearing cloud. You can see it here. These are the dark clouds which will always bring rain or drizzle. Okay. The next one is alto clouds. Now these are clouds at medium level. That is, their height ranges from between 7,000 to 20,000 feet. Now we'll discuss all these clouds, the different types of cloud in the next lesson. Thank you.